There's a long history in natural history of trying to understand the living world by isolating it, by trapping, killing, preserving, pumping full of plastic, putting under the right lights behind glass so that we can catalog the living world. And I'm not saying that that's not really important work to do. I'm a big fan of natural history museums. But what I am saying is that you lose something when you try to study a living system by killing it. You lose something when you try to study the outdoors by going indoors. So instead, our fully outdoor Museum of Conservation encourages getting to know the landscape by being actively a part of it. For example, one of our exhibits is called "What is it like to be a bat?" And that's what Thomas Nagel asked us in his 1974 paper on consciousness. And it's where he outlines the complications in using reductive methods in science in order to try to study or understand what subjective experience is. Because if we don't have a way of defining or measuring something, then we have a hard time in playing a scientific game with it. Yet, despite how elusive it may be to try to define what consciousness is, we all seem to agree that we experience it, right? Like, I think I'm conscious, I think y'all are conscious, and I think that experience is key. So Nagel writes that in order for something to be conscious, there must be something it is like to be that something. So there must be something it is like to be me. And there must be something it is like to be a bat. So at our museum, we built a space to cohabitate with the bats. We have a bat box, a bat house, and then below that, we have another box. And instead of that box being filled with bats, that box holds our ultrasonic bat detecting device, which I actually have my personal ultrasonic bat detecting device on me. So, yeah. Round of applause for my bat detecting device. Thank you. All right, so this device here, this is a frequency mixer. So what's going on here is there's these two microphones, and these two microphones can listen to the world, just like I would listen to the world, except my human hearing, it taps out at about 20,000 hertz if I'm lucky. But bats, they communicate in a world above us. So what this device does is it can listen for those frequencies, and then it can take those frequencies and mix them down so that we might be able to pick up on something that is beyond our natural limits. So, in contrary to popular belief, I'm not actually a bat scientist. I'm an artist, trained as a printmaker, and printmaking is a practice of making more than one of something. It's a practice of moving through the matrix in order to repeat something over and over and over again. And practicing printmaking and looking at the history of prints has really informed the way that I'm thinking through exhibits at the museum. So printmaking tells us a story of authorship and authority, as in who is running the press and what kinds of ideas and images do they think is important enough to repeat over and over and over again. When we look at the history of printmaking, we can see a living library of those kinds of images that people keep saying and saying and saying again. And most importantly, what printmaking has taught me is that prints have a material edge, and that science has a material edge. And what I'm interested in is where that edge is and what exists beyond it. So how do you know what you know? Phenomenology is a research method that centers experience as something that is not separate from the nature of reality. While we try really, really hard to scientifically make sense of objective reality through careful calculations and categorizations, we can never seem to escape that there's a subjective lens that we see it all through. The perceived and the perceiver are bound together, shaping one another all at once. When I was a little kid, me and my cousin, we would pretend that we were paleontologists. We had these little note cards that illustrated and documented and categorized different species. And what we would do is we would go into our backyard and we would sink our fingers into the earth, sifting through the darkness, searching for something phenomenal, something so fantastic, something so unbelievable that you couldn't possibly know it until you felt it. And I still feel that way now. So I see my practice as an artist and as a printmaker, as trying to unearth something, some kind of language that's been lost, a phenomenal language, a participatory language, one that actively engages with the landscape, evolving together, becoming something new together. So I don't think that creativity is like a rare mineral that's like buried in some far-off land and available only to those who are truly despicable enough to extract it and exploit it. Instead, I see creativity as a practice. I don't think that any of us are separate from this world, and I don't think that we're behind a glass. I don't think that we're a ghost in a machine or some kind of epiphenomena arising from purely mechanical functions. I think that we're all in conversation, that we're materially intermeshed, woven together in the full fabric of the cosmos, everything there is and everything there was. I think that we shape each other, that each moment is both fleeting and emergent, in concert with ancient patterns of infinite codes, forms, and frequencies that resonate through all things. So it may be no surprise to any of you that while the world we live in is always changing, it's changing really quickly right now. So we are here in the sixth extinction, and the climate crisis is coming in hot. We're playing a game of double death. And what I mean by that is, while we're actively contributing to the loss of species, to genetic codes that took millions of years to make, we're also participating in a loss that leads to the loss of the ongoingness of life, of the planetary ability to support the grand diversity of life that we're all a part of. But how could you ever conserve a world that you don't feel materially connected to? So we invite you to practice pressing your fingers into the flesh of the earth and feel the tension between both of your bodies as the heat from your mouth is carried out from your blood and pools into the dark clay. Thanks.